So just so you guys know, I don't always write mean stuff. This is proof. Here we go. A world. I dream of a world where you show someone you love them by putting your arms around their body and not just a ring around their finger. A world where a woman doesn't care what kind of car a man drives. She simply cares that he is driven. I want to live in a world where people at coffee shops look for empty seats and not empty tables, where teenage kids trade in their copies of Call of Duty for Nerf guns and water pistols, and they wage war at every street corner. I want to live in a world where every park has at least a dozen swings so that no one has to wait to rekindle their childhood. A world where children read their parents' bedtime stories because even grown adults want to fall asleep hearing happily ever after. I want a world where we trade all these supposed advances in technology for the hoverboards we've been waiting for patiently since Back to the Future 2. I want to live in a world where people judge you by what you say, by what you do, by how you live, and not just simply judge you by what you say you do for a living. A world where people are guided by their dreams and not their GPS. I want to live in a world where people have the luxury and the ability to spend their paychecks after they've earned them instead of having every penny accounted for before the check is even deposited. I want to live in a world where people look for reality by looking out of their windows instead of staring into a television screen. A world where people realize that even though it takes a website to tell you that you have 437 friends, all it takes is a flat tire at 437 to show how many friends you really have. I want to live in a world where people are more inclined to communicate with their beautiful voices instead of their sore thumbs, where we don't wait for the power to go out before we leave our homes and greet our neighbors. If you think about it, it's a shame. It's not until we are powerless that we realize how truly powerful we are. I want to live in a world where people gather their knowledge through eyesight, insight, and hindsight, and not simply from a website. I want to live in a world where people are just as inclined to give their home address as their email address because they really do want to get together. I dream of a world where the carnival is always in town and ice cream trucks come by more often than delivery trucks. A world where genuine apologies replace high-priced lawsuits, and a pinky promise is better than any signed contract. I want to live in a world where no one sits. Everyone stands. They stand for a cause, they stand for a purpose, or at the very least, they stand up for themselves. Do you remember where you were standing the last time you stood for anything? I want to live in a world where the news is nothing more than 30 minutes a day of them telling us all the amazing things that happened that day instead of spending 13 and a half hours a day trying to get us into never leaving our homes. I want to live in a world where the people with the most dollars are trying to make the most change because that's what makes the most sense. I dream of a world that fosters enough beauty and wonder to allow us to dream at all. Now, my young friends, if you find yourself a bit disillusioned, if you find yourself a bit disconnected, I urge you, do not look to your colleagues for advice or your elders. If you're lost, try to find like a 6-year-old kid. Quick. A 6-year-old would tell you to go to wherever the brightest colors lead you. A 6-year-old would say that every strip of pavement needs to be covered in colored chalk. A 6-year-old would tell you that when it rains, it's the world becoming a giant water park, welcoming you outside. But most of all, I assure you, a 6-year-old would tell you something you've long forgotten. A 6-year-old would tell you that the circle will never fit in the square. And we are grown adults desperately trying to shove the circle into the square at a job that does more to destroy us than rejuvenate us, friends we've acquired from portraying someone we're not in hopes that they might somehow grow to love who we truly are. Some of us who have literally cut away what we love of ourselves in the hopeless pursuit of someone else's love. We are grown adults, desperately trying to shove the circle into the square, destroying ourselves and everyone who truly loves us in the process. So I could have saved us all a bunch of time by simply saying, I want to live in a world where no matter how old you may be, in your mind, in your heart, you're just 6 years old. Take those two beautiful hands and build the world I've described, the world and the beauty that lives within your own imagination. Take the hands and the arms they're connected to and embrace someone. Take the thumb and the cell phone and call someone. Take those two hands and fix what has been broken for far too long. I am so sick of everyone fighting over who has it worse, because nothing will ever be better as a result of competing for last place. Build something beautiful with as many people as you can find, instead of waiting until something exists and then tearing it down. I truly care for all of you, and I want to continue to share this beautiful world with you. We've all got to work together. Thank you.